We are tired of theories. Now we need the truth.
Please keep in mind that this is not an episode of CSI. This is an intensive, long-term investigation.
We know we have two serial killers. Multiple remains were found in different ways over a long period of time.
April 1996.
Two human legs that apparently had belonged to a woman.
So if you go all the way back to Davis Park, Jane Doe, you have 4 women that were dismembered in a very particular way.
We are on Ocean Parkway. The area behind me is a massive crime scene.
The big case that started all of this was the disappearance of Shannon Gilbert.
Police say the remains were actually found by their canine unit.
Who is this victim, and are there more remains?
There may be even more bodies out there.
So far, 4 have been found, and Suffolk police say this could be the work of one person.
April 20th, 1996. The first remains are found. 2 female legs were found wrapped in a plastic bag on the bayside shore of Fire Island, a mile west of Davis Park Beach. The victim was given the name Fire Island Jane Doe. Multiple identifying scars were found on the victim's legs. Her right lower leg had a 3.5-inch scar, along with a 1-inch scar on the mid to lower leg and a 1/2-inch scar on her ankle. Her left leg had a 2-inch surgical scar with suture scars on the ankle, indicating she may have had surgery on that ankle. Her skull was found later on April 11, 2011, west of Gilgo Beach in Nassau County, where she was initially identified as Jane Doe number 7. She still has not been identified. On November 19, 2000, the body of a woman was discovered by hikers in the Long Island area. The body had been cut into pieces and put into plastic bags. Although the remains went unidentified for years, they were eventually identified as belonging to Valerie. Valerie Mack was last seen by her family in the spring of 2000 in the Port Republic area of New Jersey. She was never listed as a missing persons, with her last known address in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, where she had been working as a sex worker using the name Melissa Taylor. July 20th, 2003. The remains of Jessica Taylor are found. Jessica Taylor from Tuskegee, New York, left home as a teen and moved to Brooklyn, where she spent about 3 years under the control of a pimp, Khalil White, known as Remy. During a trip to Washington, D.C., Jessica decided to return home. Jessica was reportedly seen a few days later between July 18th and July 23rd of 2003 at the Port Authority bus terminal in Manhattan, according to the detective who investigated her case. On July 20th, 2003, her torso was found on a sheet of plastic in Manorville, New York, at the end of an access road just north of the Long Island Expressway. December 13, 2011, Shannon Gilbert remains are found.
After an exhaustive, methodical, massive search, we have this day at approximately 9:14 a.m. located a set of skeletal remains we believe at this time to belong to the missing Shannon Gilbert.
Shannon Gilbert was 24 when she took a call on Oak Beach in May 2010. She was last seen screaming and running from her home before she disappeared. She called 911 from a client's home and told an operator someone was trying to kill her.
State police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Okay, where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you, ma'am?
I don't know.
You're driving right now?
No, I'm inside the house.
I'm sorry?
I'm inside the house.
What house?
I don't know. Can you trace where I am?
I'm sorry?
Can you trace where I am?
No, I can't. What's your callback number you're calling from?
Huh?
What phone number are you calling from?
Somebody's after me.
The young woman's remains were found in a swamp about a half a mile from where she was last seen. Investigators said they believe Gilbert drowned or succumbed to the elements and determined the case closed. The medical examiner's autopsy proved inconclusive. The discovery of her remains led to a series of other corpses being uncovered and identified. The 10 corpses that were found belonged to 9 other young women and 1 man who were reported missing. December 11, 2010. The remains of Melissa Barthélemy found. The search for Shannon along Oceanside Parkway led to the discovery of Melissa. She had last been seen on July 12, 2009 outside her apartment in the Bronx. Later that day, a bank security camera captured her depositing $1,000. Her boyfriend and pimp, John Blaze, said she arranged another $1,000 date that night on Long Island. Not long after her disappearance, her sister received a series of calls from a man using Melissa's phone, claiming to be her killer. Between July 16th and August 27th, the calls came from a busy New York City locations, including Madison Square Gardens and Times Square. December 13, 2010. More bodies found. The bodies of Amber Lynn Costello, 27, from Wilmington, North Carolina, Maureen Bernard Barnes, 25, from Groton, Connecticut, and Melissa Barthélemy, 24, from Buffalo, New York, all found within 150 meters of Megan's body. These first 4 became known as the Gilgo Beach 4. For more than a decade, the Gilgo Beach murders have remained a mystery, frustrating law enforcement and the community as they tried to find who was responsible for a string of bodies found along Long Island, New York's southern shoreline. On Friday, Suffolk County authorities announced the biggest development in the case to date.
Developing tonight, it has been 12 years and 7 months since the remains of Buffalo native Melissa Barthélemy were discovered near the side of a Suffolk County road. After no breakthroughs in the case for over a decade, tonight a suspected serial killer is in custody.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families.
In December 2010, the remains of 10 people were found near Ocean Parkway in Suffolk County, New York. Nearly 13 years later on Thursday night, 59-year-old Rex Heuermann was arrested in Manhattan and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of second-degree murder. That includes the death of Buffalo native Melissa Barthélemy. She went missing in July 2009. At the time, she was working as an escort, a trend the district attorney says is consistent in the case.
They all did the same thing for a living. They all advertised the same way. And there were immediately similarities with regard to the crime scenes.
According to police, the women, including Barthélemy, were tied up and covered with camouflaged burlap sacks. Male hair was found in one of the burlap sacks, according to the bail application in the case.
For each of the murders, he got an individual burner phone, and he used that to communicate with the victims. Then shortly after the death of the victims, he then would get rid of the burner phone.
In March of last year, 6 weeks after a task force was formed on the case, law enforcement identified Heuermann as a suspect.
We had him under surveillance. We had other means of monitoring him.
And continued to keep an eye on what he was doing over the course of the next year.
We were able to use fictitious or fraudulent email addresses and get Google warrants, and from there we got his searches.
Those warrants turned up evidence that Heuermann allegedly searched for information about the Gilgo Beach murders over 200 times. Heuermann had little to say in court Friday afternoon.
The only thing I can tell you that he did say as he was in tears was, "I didn't do this."
We are going to hold him responsible for what he did in this case.
Lynn Barthélemy spoke to Claudine Ewing in 2011, shortly after Melissa's remains were found. After Heuermann's arrest, Lynn simply told Two on Your Side, "I'm just relieved." According to court documents, investigators were able to link Heuermann to the crime scene discovered in 2010 from a pizza box he threw out in January of this year. Lab technicians were able to match his DNA from pizza crust to the hair found in the burlap sack. On Your Side in the newsroom, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.